We're all aware of how the Portal and Half-Life games are in the same universe, and perhaps the most major thing that ties them together is the Borealis, the ship shrouded in mystery that was first properly introduced in Half-Life 2 Episode 2. The legendary ship is famous for vanishing one day in Aperture Science, along with all the crew members. We can also find the area the ship disappeared from at the end of Chapter 6 of Portal 2. Very little is known about the ship, though the most information we have seems to be regarding the time it disappeared. I believe that the ship disappeared sometime between the late 70s and mid-80s, about 35 to 50 years before the events of Half-Life 2 Episode 2, which happened between 2015 and 2029, though the exact year can't be certain. The Borealis was held in the 1970s section of Test Shaft 9, so it was most likely still there in the early 70s. What backs up the ship disappearing sometime in the 80s is a sentence that can be decoded from Doug Ratman's ramblings in the various rat dens scattered around Portal 2. Have a listen.
It's coming, Stu! It's going forward! It's starting! The ship is starting! Let's get down now!
What I can decode from the ramblings is Ratman talking about how the ship was stolen, so it must have happened while he was working there. Based on his appearance in 2010, which you see in the Lab Rat comic, he doesn't seem old enough to have been working in Aperture Science in the 70s, unless it was very late into the decade, as he would be pushing for his late 50s. It seems more plausible that he worked there in the 80s. The fact that he seems to talk to Cave Johnson, the Aperture Science CEO, means the Borealis disappearance would have happened before Johnson's death, which was sometime between 1987 and 1990. From this, it's most likely that the Borealis disappeared sometime between 1980 and 1987. While the Half-Life Wikipedia page says that the Borealis disappeared in 1987, there is no evidence to back it up, so I'm hesitant to state that as being a fact. The dates I used in this video are agreed upon by most fans, but the date of the Borealis' disappearance is subject to much speculation. One of the biggest mysteries is why the ship would just disappear in the first place. Ships don't just vanish, so someone must have wanted what's on board, and that leads us to wonder what it contains. We can tell based on blueprints of the Borealis that the ship contains a material emancipation grill, which is used to prevent staff from stealing Aperture products. This tells us that something pretty important is being kept on board. The most famous thing to come out of Aperture Science is the portal guns, which is essentially the power of teleportation, which we can see used by Black Mesa in Half-Life 2. Knowing their track record was probably stolen technology from Aperture Science. Once you're able to move small objects and people from one place to another, what would be the next step? Large-scale teleportation, perhaps entire armies or even planets, which would certainly be useful to the Combine. The Combine are able to teleport between universes, which is one of the reasons they've managed to enslave so many species, such as the Xen aliens and the Nihilanth, being the main reason the Nihilanth boss in Half-Life 1 fled to Xen in the first place. Their same universe teleportation is quite poor, as it requires huge pieces of machinery and power as seen when Dr. Breed tries to escape the Citadel. With superior teleportation equipment, the Combine would be able to destroy the Resistance so much easier. This Half-Life 3 concept art also shows us advisors going towards the Borealis, confirming that they are wanting it for something. The fact that advisors, the higher-ups in the Combine, are coming to the Borealis personally shows us that it is of great importance, and based on what the Combine need, large-scale non-portable portal devices seems like the most plausible theory for what could be held on the boat. Earlier when talking about the ship's disappearance, I said the words, "ships don't just vanish." Well, in this case, maybe it did. In the dock area that the Borealis was kept in, there is no exit that the Borealis could have left through, so the only way it could have been extracted would be through teleportation, and it would seem like the Combine don't have the ability for that without large machinery. So if the Combine didn't extract the Borealis, who did? The only possible person who could have done it would be the G-Man, who we know to have extraordinary powers. In Ratman's ramblings, I interpreted one of the sentences as, "The ship is stolen, look what you've done now, I hate you, man," which makes me think that the man Ratman is mad at is G-Man, who may have been responsible in some way for its disappearance. For what reason he would have done it is a mystery, but overall the G-Man is a very mysterious character. We have no idea what his goals are, so him taking the Borealis isn't that far-fetched an idea. To sum everything up, from all the information I've gathered, the facts seem to be that something important is held in the ship, based on the Emancipation Grill. The Borealis was teleported out of its location, the Combine want what's on the ship, and the ship disappeared sometime between 1980 to 1987, although possibly the late 70s. My beliefs are that large-scale portal devices are held on the ship, which were taken to a new location by G-Man to spark a huge fight between the Combine, who wanted to master same-universe teleportation, and Gordon Freeman, who wants it as it would be a great asset to the Resistance. Of course, I could be completely wrong, but with any luck, when Half-Life 3 eventually comes out, we can finally put this mystery to rest, but until then, we'll just have to keep wondering what could be on that boat.